Today, on Guess What I Found Out, here is a fact that should ruin your morning coffee in the best possible way. The sunlight hitting your window right now is older than the pyramids of Egypt. Not the 8-minute trip across space you have heard about. The energy itself, born in the heart of the sun, spent tens of thousands of years clawing its way out before it ever reached you. So the light warming your face today started its journey before humans invented writing. Sit with that. We are going to call the sun Big Glowy for this video, because by the end you will see it is far too weird and far too violent to just be a fireball in the sky. Big Glowy is a self-regulating nuclear engine that runs on annihilating itself. And what is happening inside it right now is genuinely one of the strangest stories in the universe. It all started with a cloud. Stars do not just appear. They are born from unimaginably huge clouds of gas stretching across hundreds of light years. And here is the first beautiful twist that gas was recycled. Most of it was forged inside earlier stars that lived, died and exploded, scattering hydrogen and heavier elements across the galaxy. So Big Glowy, and by extension you, are quite literally made of dead star guts. You are recycled. Congratulations. Now, this cloud just drifts for millions of years until something rude happens. A nearby giant star explodes as a supernova, and the shockwave presses into the cloud like a hand sinking into a pillow. That push lets gravity take over. Pockets of gas compress, get denser, pull in more material, and collapse into tight, dark knots. Each knot is a star seed, and stars are born in litters, so our cloud spawns many siblings. One of those seeds is going to become Big Glowy. But here is where it gets strange, because at this stage there is no light at all. Just a cold, dark ball of gas, bigger than our entire solar system, quietly contracting for millions of years, getting hotter and denser and smaller. If you are enjoying this slow-motion star birth, do me a favor and hit follow, because this channel does this every single week, and the next one is even weirder. The more you squeeze a gas, the more its particles smash into each other, and the more they smash, the hotter it gets. Eventually, the core hits 10 million degrees Celsius, and that is the magic number. Hydrogen atoms start slamming together hard enough to fuse, and the energy that pours out flips Big Glowy from a dark ball into an actual star. Cosmic light switch on. Meanwhile, the whole ball is spinning, and that spin flings some material outward into a flat disk. From that leftover disk, every planet, moon and comet in our solar system gets built, including the rock you are standing on. So let us go down into the core, because the conditions there are almost impossible to picture. The temperature is around 15 million degrees. The pressure is roughly 250 billion times the air pressure you are breathing right now. And the density, this is my favorite part, is about 20 times denser than solid iron. Picture the heaviest cast iron pan in your grandparents' kitchen. Then imagine it weighing 20 times more while staying the same size and being made of electrified plasma. That is the heart of Big Glowy. And plasma is the key word. You know that solids melt into liquids and liquids boil into gases. Add even more energy to a gas and it becomes plasma, a fourth state of matter where electrons rip free and electricity flows through the soup. That is what the sun is made of. Not fire, plasma. Inside that plasma runs nuclear fusion, and it is gloriously stubborn. Hydrogen protons are all positively charged, so they repel each other like the wrong ends of two magnets. Big Glowy is one of the only forces in the universe strong enough to force them together anyway. Two hydrogens fuse into deuterium, that fuses with another hydrogen into helium-3, and two helium-3s combine into helium-4. This proton-proton chain produces about 99% of the sun's energy, with a tiny carbon-based cycle handling the rest. But where does the energy come from? Here is the trick that bends my brain. When these atoms fuse, the result weighs slightly less than the ingredients. Mass goes missing. And that missing mass does not vanish. It converts directly into energy, exactly as Einstein's E equals mc squared predicts. Since the speed of light squared is an absurdly large number, a sliver of mass becomes a tidal wave of energy. Every single second, Big Glowy converts about 4 million tons of itself into pure energy. That is roughly the mass of 3 million cars being deleted from existence every second, forever. Quick gut check before we go further. If you had to live anywhere in the solar system except Earth, where would you pick and why? Honestly, drop it in the comments and walk me through your reasoning, because the answers people give are never the obvious ones. Now, here is the genius of the whole machine. It balances itself. The energy from fusion pushes outward, gravity pulls inward, and the two settle into a standoff called hydrostatic equilibrium. If fusion sped up, the extra push would expand and cool the core, slowing fusion back down. If it slowed, gravity would squeeze and reheat it. Big Glowy has been holding this exact tug-of-war for 4.6 billion years and has fuel for billions more. It is the most reliable thing you will ever depend on. So once energy is made in the core, it just rockets out to space, right? Not even close, and this is the part that gives us our older than the pyramids headline. The interior is so insanely dense that energy travels outward as photons that cannot go in a straight line. A photon moves less than a millimeter before smacking into a particle, getting absorbed and being spat back out in a random direction. Imagine walking through a packed shopping mall, blindfolded, bouncing off every single person. And somehow, after tens of thousands of years, you finally stumble out the exit. Scientists call it a random walk. Estimates for how long energy takes to escape the core range from about 10,000 years to 170,000 years. And during that endless pinball journey, the light itself transforms. Near the core, the photons are screaming gamma rays and X-rays, far too energetic for your eyes to see. But after all that bouncing and energy loss, by the time they reach the surface, they have cooled into the gentle, visible light and UV you actually feel. The violent, invisible radiation of the core gets tamed into a sunny afternoon. That radiation, by the way, would obliterate almost anything. Almost. If you want to see the one ridiculous little creature that can shrug off raw space radiation and the vacuum of space itself, go watch the episode on the chubby apocalypse bears, the tardigrades, because they break every rule Big Glowy could throw at them. So, the next time you stand in a beam of sunlight, remember what it actually is. Energy born in a 15 million degree plasma heart made by annihilating mass, according to Einstein, that spent longer escaping the sun than human civilization has existed, then crossed 93 million miles of empty space in 8 minutes just to warm your face. That is not a fireball. That is the single most important machine in your entire existence, and it has been quietly running the whole time. So tell me down in the comments, what blew your mind the most? The recycled stardust, the missing mass, or the ancient light? And if you made it this far, smash that like button and subscribe, because next time I am taking you somewhere even stranger. See you there, Curious George.